Hello and welcome back to our little podcast here at France Berlome, hosted by yours truly, France. We are at our 8th episode, and I'm truly sorry that this has been the most recent episode that we have had since August. It's crazy, but it's been 4 long months. It went too fast. Many things have happened. I was trying to finish a novel. I wanted to finish the novel. So I apologetically would like to make it up to you guys by publishing our episode for today as we welcome the last month of 2021. So I'd like to take you guys back to one of my unforgettable experiences from last week of November. I was invited to give a talk to a webinar that focuses on how writing can be possible for inexperienced ones. It's a really humbling opportunity for me because I never considered myself as a professional in the field of writing per se, but I was invited, so it's my duty to not let this inexperienced writer down, and also those behind the program that trusted me to be there. So for this episode, I am going to summarize what I've shared with over 100 listeners on that webinar, and I hope I will be able to do so in just a short span of time that we have here. Having said that, let's jump right into it. So first tip I could give as a takeaway for a beginner writer that is listening to this is for you to get straight to the point. This applies to everything that you're going to write. Getting straight to the point sharpens your ability to not just waste your time nor your reader's time, but also it improves your skill in saying what you really need to say, not just what you want to say. For example, if you were going to write something about your childhood dream, of course you were going to write about what it is and how you would go about achieving it, and not talk about things that don't relate to this too. Then we're going to focus on the what and the how. The what lets you write your content, while the how lets you write your creative spot of writing. So I'm gonna give an example. So my dream is to be a writer. And a writer is someone who writes for the general benefit of readers who are reading to be informed of things in general with regards to different genres and fields and topics. So I have plans on achieving it by writing and reading every day. I participate in workshops and seminars that would strengthen my writing skill, and one day get hired to write. So these two convey the what and the how. By mastering these two, you get straight to the point. So always remember your what and how. Those are the two powerful words that I recommend, like keeping a little note whenever you write something, and by the goal of writing something that you want to say straight ahead and on the point. So tip number 2 would be just get yourself used in the habit of making the right word choice. Choosing the correct word for your sentence or overall content is like picking what you're going to wear in a particular event. It needs to be specific, simple, and accurate. Specific in terms of who is the audience, who is your audience. Simple in terms of general understanding. And accurate in terms of facts that support your writing or content. So how do you sharpen your skill in choosing the right word choice for your reading piece? You have to read like a lot. Or if you don't like reading, if you belong to the growing population of people who don't read but loves listening, then listen to anything that would introduce you to new sets of words you're going to keep in mind that you can use for later. It can be your everyday radio, the podcast, or any listening material that you could make use of. You'll realize that these words that you just heard from a random change on the radio station you're listening in one day may help you add to your writing later on and make it more interesting. Tip number 3 would be to think about your audience carefully. So in writing, you need to put yourself in the shoes of the reader and think if this is a piece of writing you're going to learn or benefit from. One helpful question I always tell people, or I always tell or ask myself is, who are you writing for? Who am I writing for? You know, the little exercise I do to find my key audience is to settle with 3 audiences first, or 2. So start with a big one, and then you go from there. For example, I'm going to write about mechanical keyboards. I love them. So I'm gonna get right straight to the point. Who uses mechanical keyboards? Gamers. That's your first audience. Now, from that, broaden your perspective on the keyboard itself. Who else uses keyboards other than gamers? I mean, apparently we all do, but that's where you need to be specific. Maybe your second audience would be first-time mechanical keyboard users. From then, you broaden your topic once again, and you're gonna find that your third topic is more likely the keyboard enthusiast. Yes, they exist, I know, because I'm one of them. So the key here is knowing who's going to read your writing defines clarity in your overall voice as a writer. The fourth tip would be to train yourself to put on several hats when writing. I think I might have paused on that a little bit, but that's the fourth tip that I would like on the spot would advise you to consider, especially if you're really serious about getting into writing for a long time and for getting a profession out of it. So writing brings forth multiple skills that can be developed over time. As a writer, you're not just a writer, you're also a brainstormer, because you choose a topic, you choose a title, you choose who's your audience, or think about who is your audience. That's a brainstorm itself. You are the brain of your writing. Aside from that, you're also a researcher. You search for additional facts and supporting infos that would nurture your writing into an informative one, other than being creative itself, or having the purpose of being creative itself. Third is you are also a proofreader of your own work. You read them and you catch mistakes by rereading. And then you also have to be some sort of a self-critic, as knowing what looks and feels okay is good, and it's a good skill to practice to see what is not okay to what is considered, well, good enough. And lastly, on putting on your hat is the role of becoming yourself, your own editor. It's the ability to hone the skills of gauging and revising and making certain adjustments that you need to make to do necessary changes to improve your writing and its overall tone, theme, and delivery. So this is not multitasking, this 4 hats that I mentioned. This is multi-skills that you need to develop and allow yourself to develop through your writing process. Because at the end of the day, no one is going to read your piece like you. And no one is going to write the way you write more than you do. Fifth and last tip, this is the realistic one for me. You have to be kind to yourself with writing. I mean it. Writing can be both exhausting yet satisfying. And during the process, you have to be kind to yourself to first make mistakes. No writer has ever written a piece without making the wrong word choice, wrong grammar, or even wrong spelling. It's all okay. Making mistakes means you're acknowledging what you can correct, not acknowledging what you lacked. And you should allow yourself to be criticized. And of course, criticism might be an ugly side of being creative. It's one of those hard to swallow truth in life, but no matter how ugly it is, it helps you improve your writing. It catches what you can change, and it helps you as well to change for the better, not just in writing. Fourth is not to let yourself box up by writers' myths and misconceptions. What are the usual misconceptions that writers have received in their existence? Like, you have to be a nerd with books. Like, yeah, I mean, writing should be equivalent with reading, because by reading you have to exercise. You can exercise your skill in with producing words, weaving them into sentences, and then you let yourself flow with these words because you own a specific set of them that you learn by reading. But I'm not stereotyping this with writers who don't read much but listen. As I mentioned earlier, you don't have to be a reader to be a writer. Sometimes you are also an active listener in order to make a good writing. So those being nerd, being a reader, what else? The stereotypes I listen was you need to have eyeglasses to be considered yourself a writer. I don't I don't really believe in that. I know people who don't wear eyeglasses and are a writer themselves. And I know people who wore eyeglasses but not writers. So you don't have to be boxed up by those misconceptions to stop yourself from writing and also to stop writing. I don't know, I just that feels redundant. Anyway, so second is to breathe in between writing. You have to pause. And then you gotta go in the game once again, and then pause once again. And then if you feel like you're ready to go on and move forward, and you do your thing. That's what also writing is. Pause, write, till you finish something. That feeling is fulfilling. It really is. And you also have to be kind to yourself to write your own way. And rewrite the way you know. As mentioned earlier, no one is gonna read your writing like you do, and no one's gonna appreciate it like you do. So that's it for this episode, everyone, and I hope I was able to share a few things I find worthy of sharing and applying to your everyday or habitual writing passion. If you like this episode, please share and like the post I'll be making on my account, and make sure you add me as your friend on my poetry page, France Bartolome Poetry, where you can read most of my poems and novel teasers. This podcast is made possible by Anchor. Easily create your own podcast, then distribute all of them to major listening apps. All for free. Create and distribute your podcast for free with Anchor. All you need to do is download the app through your Play Store to get started today. Thank you all for listening, and this is France Bartolome signing off. See you on the next episode.